Hello and welcome to the I Create Daily podcast. I'm LeAura Alderson.
And I'm Devani Alderson. We are the mother-daughter co-founders of the I Create Daily brand.
We are passionate about encouraging positivity, creativity, and productivity while bringing you information and resources that support your creative aspirations.
I Create Daily is for creators in every genre of creating, from musicians to writers, crafters to inventors, bloggers to entrepreneurs. So if you are into creating anything, this podcast has something for you.
So tell us, what would support you most in your journey? You can reach us at creators@icreatedaily.com.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. Hello and welcome to the I Create Daily podcast coffee break, conversations for kindling creativity for anyone in pursuit of the creative life. I'm Devani.
And I'm LeAura.
And today we're going to be talking about the importance of brand building and brand building for your art, your books, through a community, and just different elements of why it's important to build a brand as a creator, and just different avenues that you can go through and use and tools that are out there. We are not going to get too deep into social media. We've already done an episode that covers social media. In fact, we've done a couple episodes that cover social media a little bit more fully, but we will recommend that social media is a huge, massive, free opportunity to build a community. And in this episode, I think we're going to focus a little bit more on the importance of why you would want a community, why you need a community, and the sort of myth, helping you dispel any fear around promoting your work to a community.
Yeah, we tend to, always be a little reluctant to toot our own horn or, show our own work. We have a lot of folks in our I Create Daily community who are comfortable sharing their work within the group, sometimes more so than on their own personal profile, because it can feel like if you're sharing your art or your writing or whatever in your personal profile, as if you're looking for attention or if you're looking for compliments, or it can feel like self-promotion. And that's something that many creators and, artists, etc., are uncomfortable with. But we have to get over that, because that is the way to grow your brand and get your work found, noticed, and in front of the eyes of those who may be interested in also becoming your customers, which is another reason why one of the benefits of creating a Facebook page as opposed to just a profile, where you can represent yourself and your brand of art or writing or business, whatever that may be. You can even sell from your Facebook page. As Devani said, we've already talked about a lot of the social avenues, so we won't go that deep into those here. We do. So, but how could you do that, and why should you do that? So that is your platform in the world online. That is your stage for letting people know. And so, and never shy away from sharing your work in the world, because it would be like if a friend of yours owned a restaurant and started a restaurant, then they would invite you to come and dine at their restaurant when they opened the doors, and you would be glad to go to support them in their endeavor and enjoy their food, etc., and then shout out about it to your friends. And you would never think it odd that they invite. In fact, you would think it odd if they didn't invite you. And so,
what kind of friend?
Yeah. And so, restaurateur, is that restaurateur? Restaurateur, I think it is. Restaurateur, is.
I don't know what you're saying.
I'll have to look. The owner of a restaurant.
Oh, okay.
Someone like an entrepreneur is the owner of a business. So the entrepreneur restaurant owner. I'll have to look that one up. I should know it. They themselves. So they are not shy about promoting their restaurant. If they were, it would immediately be a flop. It would definitely not succeed.
Especially in that kind of business. Owning a restaurant is grueling, and to be an entrepreneur of anything is grueling.
So therefore, this is the thing, it becomes the creator's job. And think about little kids when they're first creating art. They are not shy about showing, look what I did, showing their art, showing their work. And so that's where we have to kind of return to, is that place of pride and joy in sharing what we've created with others. Because after all, that is the way to get your work out in the world. You sharing it first, with not the kind of pride of boasting, but just the kind of joy, in the creative process, because part of the creative process is sharing what is created. So if you're preparing a wonderful meal for your family, then, and with that in mind, with somebody else enjoying it, then it's not nearly as wonderful if you prepare it and there's no one there to enjoy it and you don't share it with them.
And it's not really necessarily even about the money or monetizing off your art, or some people are just like, don't monetize your art, then it's not as pure. And that's kind of weird. I understand where the perspective comes from, and I respectfully disagree with it. But I think a lot of times the money is just the transaction. It's just like, I respect that you put hours into making this, so I would like to buy it, and I'd like to have it and own it, and I would like you to feel like that was valued as well. And so we just put a number on it. And I think if you think about it more that way, somebody just respecting the fact that they see the value in your creation too, it might bridge the gap between feeling scared about putting yourself out there as much, or asking for the sale, or even just mentioning, hey, I made this new piece, and if you want to buy it, message me. I've seen a lot of artists do that and have success, and a lot of their friends will, even if they can't necessarily purchase it, they will create social interaction that helps it get seen by somebody who might want to.
That's right. So there's a concept common to Australia about not being a tall poppy, so if someone is perceived as thinking they're better than everyone else, or they're full of themselves, then there's kind of the saying is, you don't want to be a tall poppy, you don't want to stand out, that's considered, not a cool thing, and you just want to basically hunker down and fit in. And that is in the US, that's actually a common thing in corporate environments. It's like in fact, gosh, I hope I can pull this quote up pretty quickly while I'm talking. Yeah, pull up the quote document. I just put a quote in there earlier today, I think it was, that was just perfect for this. In fact, it was when we were watching Chase Jarvis and Gary Vaynerchuk, which we will share. Yeah, here's the quote from Chase Jarvis. "You cannot stand out and fit in at the same time. Do you?" So we have one member that was in our recent September challenge, and her thing is acknowledging her own voice, is giving voice and space and room and time and credit to her own voice, and to know that you have a say. And what you have to say, what you do, what you think is important, what you like, all of those things are all a part of what make you you. The art that you create, the things that you write, the things that you think are important, the nuances that you can give to any of those things. Never shy away from putting it out there, because in this era of artists creating relationships based on who they are, creating products and businesses based on who they are, that includes putting things out there that not everyone's going to love. And that is absolutely okay. Not everyone can love everything about us, and nor do we love everything about everybody.
Just think about the things you don't like.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things we all don't like.
Yeah.
And if that's that, the things that we don't like necessarily may or may not be crippling the end maker who made it, who you got it from, or who you saw it from. So naturally, the more we create something, and put it out there, the more we'll find pockets of people who are just like, that's not really for me. But the point of building a brand is so that you can put a lot out and then reach the people who are like, wow, I really resonate. I resonate with your book. I resonate with your podcast. I resonate with your canvas. I resonate with your photography. I resonate with your business and the products you made. Yeah. So that's more what the brand building is about. Like, you don't build a brand so that you can learn how to deal with people who don't like you. You build a brand so that you can reach people who end up wanting to take a journey with you and learn about you and eventually buy from you.
Yeah. So don't worry about the criticism or the people who may not be interested in what you're doing. It's better to just kind of, what's going to happen is by putting your work out there through your Facebook, your personal profiles and your business or business accounts, you will begin to attract those who do like what you're doing and who do kind of vibrate at the same rate, so to speak, and who will end up being better relationships for you anyway as you're growing your business endeavor. Actually, there's no, so he keeps, what is it, Caspian? Sorry, the dog keeps licking and wanting something. Excuse me, you have to go down if you're not gonna just chill. Okay, so back on top, for anyone who's not watching on video, that was Caspian dropping in for a visit, demanding attention. So pardon that interruption. Creators tend to be also uncomfortable selling and asking for money, especially amongst their own community. So, and community members similarly can also resist and even resent being sold. So, the problem is that marketers and charlatans, and even and big corporations have caused us all to be more wary, and rightly so. But let's not let that stop us from offering to the world what we've created, and also offering support to fellow creators. Here's an example. So we interviewed recently and just published, in fact, today, as this is being recorded, Dr. Gordon Pedersen's interview. That's our second interview that we've had with him. And he's kind of think of him as the silver doctor, because he has the company called My Doctor Suggests, and they have created and sell silver products.
And he even he's the founder and director of the Silver Institute. And
right.
So he's very immersed in that world.
Right. And so it's really easy. The mentality that people have tended to perpetuate is the concept of, he's just out to sell products, whether it's him or not just him. Obviously, I mean, I'm thinking any entrepreneur selling products. It could be us in our journals. They're just really doing the podcast to sell journals. Whereas actually, we started the podcast before we even had an idea that we were going to create journals. So it worked the other way around. And
we never even planned to create journals.
That's right. That's often the case. It is that, just like our famous quote that we use, famous and that we use it often, is it is in the journey that the way becomes more clear. It's as you pursue in the direction that pulls you, that you're compelled to, there will naturally be expanded opportunities and ideas along the way that become a part of that journey. So another person we follow, an example, is Ben Greenfield. He is like an ultra fitness, deeply immersed fitness geek kind of guy. That's like where, probably most people who really like to follow him are athletes and marathoners and really high performance athletes, as well as, we tune in as well to some of them, because he is so deeply steeped in the science of physiology and nutrition and health and biohacking. So for that reason, we tune into him and purchase some of his products, because we know the products that he created, which came after his passion and immersion in that world. He created the things that he wanted. And that was kind of similar for us, or that he saw that his people, his audience needed, that there wasn't met as well, products that weren't being as well served perhaps in the market, or at least in the quality that he could guarantee. So that was a natural outgrowth and of what he was already doing. And there are many entrepreneurial stories along those lines. If then they start promoting their product, it doesn't mean that they're just out for the money or they're just out to sell to you. What we're seeing is that in this world where the big corporations, have been selling the masses of the products, and yet they've become so impersonal, and there's not any sense of we're actually having a personable face behind that brand, then that's where we kind of get skeptical of, they're just out for the money. It's not a great product.
Yet, on the flip side of that, these are also massive companies that have created a massive amount of convenience that we have all greatly benefited from.
Right.
If you're an Amazon Prime member, it's really nice when you get the thing that you need and want in 2 days.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and so there's this sort of like, I guess, resentment that some people have that these and this is not supposed to be like political or anything. It's just like making the point that we all need to buy things. That does not mean we're being sold.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's
right.
the same with art. When
Yeah.
you buy something that you think you need or that you're interested in, that does not necessarily mean that you are being sold. It means you wanted it or you're buying it.
Mhm.
And if you feel like you're being sold by somebody else, that's perfectly valid. I mean, fine. You feel like you're being sold. That's all right. But also realize that people have to make a livelihood.
Yeah.
And not everybody's going to make a livelihood through their art. You know, granted, that's not a goal for everyone. But artists can't just justify making and spending a lot of time with somebody who's just never going to be interested in buying their art.
Right.
And this is just a reality. Like, that they have to live too if they're trying to make their art their full-time income.
Right. And so then they need to spend their time on social media, for instance, and other places, promoting their products and sharing the products with those who are also interested. So, you know, we're exiting the era where the sign of a good product was a major manufacturer or corporation. The tables are doing an about face relative to greater trust and quality with individual artisans, creators, authors, and entrepreneurs. So that begins to be your defining and clarifying distinction. I keep sort of redundant, sorry about that. But what I'm trying to say is that kind of becomes your brand, where it is that people identify your brand with you, and therefore it gives it a quality that no one else can replicate. So, you know, in this era of mass proliferation, where it can seem like, for us with the journals, for instance, my gosh, we could have outsourced it from China. They have tons of journals that are already made that they could have just come in and put our particular art on the cover and even our art in the interior pages, and we could have ordered it from China for probably 5 times less than it cost us to produce it in the US, and actually make a much better profit from it. But our goal was to create it using U.S. companies and all U.S. products as much as possible. Like, we don't know whether U.S. companies that printed it, whether they got their products from the U.S. or whether it was shipped in, but we know that it was basically mostly sourced in the U.S. And that's because we wanted to support U.S. companies and also just have more of a sense of connection with the company that we were doing business with. And we didn't really also want to get into all the extra that you need to get into with finding Chinese manufacturers and having the shipping and the tariffs and the import taxes and then the warehousing issues along the way. Many companies do that. Many entrepreneurs do that, and it's very productive for them. So that's not to diss that. It is to say that wasn't for us. And so similarly, like, there are some creators who, you know, hand make their journals and they can't mass produce them, but there are those people who might love to buy, you know, a handcrafted journal. So, you know, there's something for everyone. And so don't let the fact that, you know, if you're a creator and let's say that you're a water color artist, and you can see that anyone can go on to Amazon or to the internet somewhere and find just 100 different art paintings, watercolor paintings rather, that are beautiful for a lot less than you could sell them for. But the distinction then, so in this age of mass proliferation of everything through the digital realm, what is it that makes the difference is you. You are what make the difference, which is why it is that you need to share your story, share yourself, share what you're creating, and get it out there to people who will be drawn to it. So let's see. Was there anything else in our notes? Anything else come to mind for you?
No, it's really just about getting your work out there and not being scared to do it.
Right. Don't have the sense of, don't have fear of speaking out. Don't have fear of sharing out loud the things that you're interested in, the things that you're creating. because again, anyone who doesn't like that it feels like you're self-promoting or whatever it is you're doing, I mean, unless you're at the place in your finances where you can hire a PR company to shout it out for you, or an agent, or a marketer to do all of that for you, you have to do it. And the good thing about that is that you will be able to attract more people interested in what you're doing, probably, than if you outsource it to a professional to do it for you.
And I think many creators will find that once they get over the hurdle of, I'm too scared to share my work, once you get over that hurdle, I think you'll find that you enjoy the process of learning about the people who are interested in you too, because it almost creates another, I'm not going to say don't hire somebody to help you with your social media or your marketing. I've done that for people before. It's a great profession. It's a great thing to do. It's a cool way to learn about other businesses. And some people just don't care about social media, and that's fine. However, when you're a creator and artist and people want to connect with you, I think you'll find a rhythm and enjoyment in maybe the first half of my day I create, and the second half of my day I promote something, and first half I create. We interviewed a guy, Patrick Ennis, which we can link the podcast, but that's basically what he does. That's how he structures his time. In the morning, he creates something, and his goal is that in the morning, he creates that thing, and in the afternoon, he wants it sold. Mm-hmm. That is his goal. Mm-hmm. And he does a good job doing that. Like he makes his thing, he posts it on his Facebook, and somebody purchases it. And that's a good day for him. Yeah. That's a good creative day for him. So I think if you kind of take on that mindset of like, let me honor my creative time, and then let me give the promotion time some space. And really the promotion is your energy behind the work you just did, and then whatever story you have about that creation, and then like, hey, if you want to buy it, I am selling it. It doesn't have to, you don't have to complicate the ask. And I think if you do have the money to pay a marketing person or an agency, be careful as a creator, because that could almost feel more you're selling to the end consumer, and then create that exact opposite friction that you wanted to avoid anyway. So I would definitely use caution in that when you're an artist, because we're entering an age where people connect with the originating creator more than just some brand promoting it for you. Yeah. And I'm not saying that it's bad for you to go that route. Maybe you find out that is the route for you and you find success. And I think that it's a valid option for people who just don't want to deal with it. But I would recommend caution. And if you do have somebody else managing it, you might choose a freelancer or somebody who maybe they can help you speak in your voice, so that at least people are getting a sense of who you are. So that's the only thing I would say as somebody who has helped manage social media for people.
Right. And then also that person can be in direct contact with you and fill you in on what's going on with the audience for those things that you might have missed, so that you stay in touch, with those who are interested in what you're doing.
But I've seen that I think a lot of creators really, once they just jump that hurdle of being scared of promoting themselves, they get into the space of, wow, I really enjoy speaking to a community, because that community is interested in you. And we all want somebody interested in us and our work, you know, like at the end of the day.
Right. And vice versa. The people who become interested in you are want to know that they're seen, that you see them, and that they matter, and that their interest and their presence in your life matters, and vice versa as well. So yeah, that's a really good one. I think that one of the fastest ways to grow that along the lines too is, like, a lot of our audience have done things like artists can do speed videos that they post on Facebook and YouTube. Those things can really help you scale quickly. Those are fun to do. People find it fun to see. They get shared. They get spread quickly. So just, sort of like consider your audience your friend, and you're sharing with them.
There you go.
And I think that will help you. And this is the friend that is not going to judge you for sharing. Oh, and don't judge yourself. So, like, if you think it's not perfect, that's okay. Share it anyway, because back to Patrick Ennis, the artist I mentioned, I think it was him. There have been he's been surprised that some of his favorite things didn't, and I know this applies to many artists, so it may or not have been him, but artists are often surprised that some of their favorite things are not the things that sell most. It may be another painting that they didn't even like as much that went very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So just, don't judge, don't create prolifically, create abundantly, create freely without judging yourself. Learn from every creation, because with every creation you improve, and then that just goes into the whole body of work. And go ahead and post it. And, if feedback comes, take what makes sense and let the rest roll off like water on a duck's back.
Yeah. Boom.
Boom. Okay, guys. Thanks. Bye. Thanks so much for joining us for the I Create Daily podcast. Please let us know what creatives you would like us to interview and what topics you would be interested in hearing more about.
And if you enjoyed this show, please leave a review on iTunes. We value your feedback. We read all the reviews, and it just helps us get the word out on the I Create Daily podcast. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.